everyone. So in this tutorial I'm just going to show you most of the tools that I use in Procreate 5X. So just to say that this is really a tutorial for beginners. I'm self-taught, so it might be that not everything is the best and the quickest way to do. I was originally a traditional painter and I've only started painting digitally this year. So this is all that I've learned, what helped me through and helped me adjust to painting on the iPad Pro. I hope you enjoy it and let me know if you have any other tips. But this is the way I paint, and which is like the most comfortable for me. I still like to use the brushes as I would paint normally on the canvases or on the boards. So yes, stay tuned if you'd like to see a bit more. So if you hold on one layer, it will actually turn off all the other layers. So I will show you how I paint on this example. This is a portrait of Britney Spears that I've created about a couple months ago. Okay, so you can always choose a background color if you like. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I just like to work with a blank canvas like I would normally do when painting traditionally. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is. And then as the first layer, I've added one of my photos that I took. I like to sometimes mix them with a portrait to use it for the background and then modify it a little bit, and it works really nicely. So what I've done in this photo, I actually use an effect called Chromatic Aberration, and then I use it actually with a pencil, and then you can just move along. You can change the options that you have here. I'm just gonna, if you click on the screen, you can reset it, what you've done, and then you can cancel it. And what I also did, I've actually painted white on top of it, just so it's not showing the background on my portrait. Because what I do, I paint with really light transparent brushes, so anything underneath will actually, you'll be able to see through. So I just added those white lines just where the skin will be. So the next layer, I just started to place some colors for the face, just trying to find the shape, just like that's the way that I like to sketch most of the time. I don't really do like a proper sketch first. I mostly paint the portrait. So I just added the hair, and let me just show you. I've added one more effect in here. Let me just grab the lasso. This is a lasso tool, and you can use a free hand and then you can just select. So just want to show you in here. I use this effect which is called a half tone, and it just makes everything a bit more like shadow dots. Which actually I don't really use it much. It's a Chromatic Aberration. It is nice if you do like cartoons, otherwise I don't really use it. So that's the only effects that I've used on the second layer. And then the next layer, I just started to add a bit more detail, just finding the features for the face. I just looking where how the proportions going to be, just starting to place everything. And the next layer I've added, it is a bit darker. I was trying to add a bit more shading, so I set this layer to be a multiply. So if you click on the layer, it will show you all the options. If you click on the right, you will see all the options that you can choose. So I like to use multiply, so it gives us really nice shadows, but you will still keep the underneath, all the layers which are underneath, they will be still visible. So it's a really nice effect to add the shadows. And then the next layers, I'll just adding more and more features, and they were all set as normal. So they are all set as normal. I just don't want to break anything that I've already painted, so I want to keep everything intact and just adding the new parts of the painting on the new normal layers, like for example the eyelashes. That's it. And then I've added another multiply layer in here for some darker tones around the eyes, and that's just another normal layer. And in here I started adding highlights. So for the highlights, I always use a new layer and then I will choose add. And with this type of layer, everything, all the colors are so much brighter. Let me just show you. You see how lovely this is, and it still keeps the main kind of lines underneath, so you can add lovely highlights. That's it. And also you can play with opacity if you don't want it so bright. That's it. And another multiply layer that I've added for the hair. Normal, darker again, normal. Let's see. And again, a bit more highlights. Normal, normal. Multiply again for the shadows. And I've added the highlights. Another normal, normal, normal. And actually in this layer I use a different option, which is darken. So with darken you get a bit more subtle shades than if you would choose multiply. Let me just show you the difference so you can see how much darker it is. If you just want a bit more, if you want like lighter shades, you can use the darken option. And another multiply. I actually don't use as many layers now. I try to reduce them because I was finding that I was getting a bit more lost in the process of having so many layers. If I wanted to find something, it was difficult to do so. What is really good to know as well, you can modify a few layers at the same time. So you can highlight the layers. So you highlighting them by moving your pencil to the right, just sliding to the right. So for example, you can flip it, but you cannot actually use any of those options. You can only modify it by moving it, or you can liquify those layers which you choose, which is really useful. Let me reset this. So because I have so many layers, but I was happy now with the effect and with how the painting looks like. Now I want to add more effects and a bit more colors and shadows, just add a bit more to it. So what I will normally do now at this stage, if I have so many layers, I will save this picture as a PNG onto my computer, and then I will, as you can see, insert the image. So I will add the image, and what I will normally do as well, I will, if you scroll it to the left, you can lock, duplicate or delete, but I will duplicate it. Now I'll just delete it because I've already done so. So then if I want to go back to the beginning or just compare those two, you can just click between the layers and just see what you've done. So what I've done in this picture, I've used some effects. So first of all, I definitely use the Liquify tool. So I like to flip it horizontal, the canvas. For some reason, when I'm painting digitally, my proportions are not as good as when I'm painting on the canvas. Perhaps as I am being so close to the screen, or maybe the way that my eyes look on the screen. But when painting on the canvas, my proportions are most of the time right, because now even when I paint, I will take a picture and then I will flip it and it's like, oh, it's actually okay. But all the time when I paint digitally and I flip it, there's something that I don't like for some reason. So I like to use the Liquify tool. So the first option, which is push, and then you can adjust the size and the pressure. So for example, if you want to move like the larger portion of the face, you will use the larger size and you just push it and then you can stretch it out. But if you, for example, just want to do the eye, you will reduce the size and then you can just adjust just those smaller parts, so you don't move the rest of the face, you just use the smaller parts, and then you can reset it. So this tool is like amazing. I always use it. What you can also do, if it's like just slightly little changes that you want to just stretch out one side, you can use the Barb Tool. So you see, you can just drag a bit up or down. So if you just wanted, for example, you flip it and then you see, oh, it went a bit more to go down, you went down a bit more, your proportions a bit more to the right, you can just slightly adjust it, but this is not really going to fix your proportions. And I will now flip it again, flip it back. So, and let me just show you more options. So what I normally use, I use a hue, saturation and brightness, and I only use it as a layer. You have an option as well to use it as a pencil, and most of the time I will make it a bit darker. I'm just finding that on the iPad everything looks really bright, but then when I move it to my phone it looks a bit too bright, so I always try to make it a little bit darker, and then I will add a few percentage of the color as well, because I feel like iPad has such a great screen, and then on my phone the painting doesn't look as colorful, or when I'm adding it to the Instagram, so I always add a little bit of color. I like to also use the color balance tool. I normally use it as a layer. I don't use it as a pencil, but you have this option as well. And what I will do most of the time, I will use it for the highlights. So I like to use a bit colder highlights. Let me just turn this one on. So as you can see, I've just added those lovely blue highlights. Let me try again. So you can add a blue. It gives this kind of shine effect. And then you can use a little pink as well. Or if you prefer, you can just go with different direction and greens. But I did like how I've already set it before, so let's just go back. So you know you can tap twice to undo any changes that you've made. So I did add some colors in here, so then you can compare the two layers now. What are the options? Let's see. So I don't use the curves that much. The curves are great for painting hair, so let me just go to this one again. So curve. So it's really nice when painting hair, as you can give a bit more textures and more definition to it. So I would mostly use it just at that state when I'm painting hair, but not at the kind of finish effect. I won't really use it at the end. Gradient map is a new Procreate 5X effect, which I don't know really how to use it correctly. It doesn't look good when I use it, so I don't use it. Then you have the blur options, which are really nice. I really like the motion blur option. Let me just show you. Just grab the lasso tool, and then you can grab a strand of hair and then go into your effects and click on motion blur, and you can use pencil as well, but I'm finding that this effect is a bit stronger when using it as a layer. And then with your finger sliding up or down, you can adjust the motion, which way you want the motion to go. So this effect is really lovely when you are using it, for example, for flower petals falling down, or anything that you like it to have like this movement effect. This is a great tool. And also what I would use, I don't really use, you can use the noise, sharpen, bloom. It will just make everything brighter. So you can do your highlights this way as well, but only the bright parts. It will make it even brighter in your painting. It's not gonna affect the darker colors, just the brighter ones. So if you want it, you can exaggerate your highlights. I don't use it much, but it's quite nice. I might do in the future, like if you just want this like really bright sun-kissed, it's actually a nice effect. So I just reset it. So that's it. And cancel. What I also like to use is the glitch. That's the new new effect on Procreate 5X, and I'll actually use that one with a pencil. I like to reduce the amount of my blocks, and I would just dab it, block size even smaller or bigger. You can adjust the zoom, apologies, and yeah, you can. I created those little dots, as you can see. That's how I created it, just by using the glitch. So this is a nice touch. If you want to add something special to your painting, you can create something like similar to it. You have also different options here. You can create some waves, which is pretty cool. Signal, and the last option, yes, I don't really use it. I mostly use the first one for the little dots. Let me just reset and cancel. Halftone, Chromatic Aberration already showed you. Halftone as well. We can see a little bit of halftone in here. I was just trying it out. I've never used it since, but I just wanted to see how those new effects will look. And the Liquify, which is amazing, and Clone. I use it sometimes, not very often. So it only works on one layer. So let me show you. If you want to clone something, you will move to the place where you want to clone, and then you will just paint, and you will paint exactly the same part as this circle is on. So you will just clone it. Sometimes it's really nice for the background if I have some like part missing the leaves, or I want to do something similar. I will just do this way. I will paint in the corner just to close this gap, but it's sometimes hard to be on the same spot. But it's still, sometimes I use it, sometimes it can be very useful. But let me just delete this all. So that's all for the effects really that I use. And for the brushes, it's really nice that if you can create your own brushes, because you know for yourself what type of brush you prefer. Like I really like, let me just add a new layer for you to show you. I really like to paint with super soft and like transparent brushes, because I just like dabbing colors and mixing it together. Like I just really like this effect, but it's just individual preference, so I just created most of my brushes myself that I use. So I think for the oils I modified the oil paints from Procreate. I just make them a bit different. Yeah, that's the smaller one that I have. So I use these smaller ones for like the details and the eyes, and then I made one bigger one, and that's the same one. Oh, I have a double, and just like some effects, brushes. And then if you click on the left, you can always clear. Yeah, I haven't really showed you all those options. Because to be honest with you, I don't really use it. Like they are very useful if you like to learn a bit more advanced techniques in Procreate. You're welcome to find some tutorials. Personally, I don't use them. I still paint pretty much traditionally on an iPad. But yes, you have lots of options here. I was trying them at the start, but to be honest with you, I didn't really get used to them. I just like the process that I would normally use when painting with acrylics or oils, so I just I just don't really use it, but you're welcome to. I'm sure you'll enjoy them as well. So let me just show you. I created this brush, for example, not this one. I created I called it Sharp and Shiny. Oh, why does that not work? That's it. So this brush I created for sketching. It's lovely to sketch with. It's so light and you can still change opacity, and it doesn't, you cannot see it much on the next layer, so it's lovely. And I have the same one but strong one. I like this one as well. It's a bit sharper lines, I do like it. And yeah, you can just experiment. This one a bit like see-through brushes if I don't want to put a lot of color, but they're not as soft as the one that I've created. But you're welcome to just experiment, and there are lots of tutorials about how to create your own brushes. I haven't mastered it yet 100%, but I did manage to create some brushes that I like it, to be honest with you. I use them all the time. So this one I've created, or you can always save shapes as well. Like I saved this diamond shape, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think I had some flowers as well. Here you go. You can experiment with colors. So anything what you need, you can basically create. So, and I also purchased some brushes. I really love the hair brushes, which I got it from Alicia Nai. She's quite big on YouTube, so check it out. They're really cool. You can create your own ones as well. And then I've just got those brushes. They were actually free. Loish brushes. She's very big as well. She's very famous. So she's just added her brushes online. Now you can download them for free. And another artist that I admire, I got his brushes, which are also lovely. I don't really use that much. I used it when I was painting some landscapes because they were lovely textures that I could use. And you have plenty of Procreate brushes, so don't worry, you can just use them, and you can just actually change them as well. Oh, I've got some lip patterns as well, which to be honest with you I've never used. But yeah, so good luck to you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you'd like to know anything more about any of the functions. What I also did, actually forgot to mention, I've added the signature. So what I've done with the signature, I just signed it. It's not perfect signature, it's just my writing. I just signed the painting, and then what I always do to my next painting, I will just copy the layer, and you can copy and paste layers between different canvases in your Procreate, so you can actually move it to your new artwork, and you can use exactly the same signature. And that's what I do. And I like to adjust the type of the layer. You can just play around and see how your signature looks like. So that was the completed portrait of Britney Spears. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. And just to clarify again, I have not done any courses. This is what I basically learned by myself since February this year, when trying to transition from traditional art to digital art. And so far it's been working out for me. I'm still doing both. Yes, so if you're starting out, good luck, and hopefully see you next video. Bye.